Democrats notched a big win in a key election last night. Another victory in a string of promising election results for Democrats ahead of the 2026 midterms. In Wisconsin, Chris Taylor, the Democratic-backed liberal candidate for the state Supreme Court, won by double digits. The 20-point blowout emphasized the growing Democratic momentum in Wisconsin, a state which Donald Trump won by less than 30,000 votes in 2024. The result is also poised to have a far-reaching impact in Wisconsin beyond this election. Politico reports Taylor's win expands liberals' majority on the Wisconsin Supreme Court to a 5-2 split. The court's liberals have made use of their majority in recent years. In 2023, the court ordered new legislative maps in Wisconsin, effectively ending a GOP gerrymander that had lasted for over a decade. And last July, the panel overturned Wisconsin's 176-year-old abortion ban by a 4-3 majority. Here's Chris Taylor during her victory speech last night.
Once again, Wisconsin showed the entire nation that we believe that the people should be at the center of government. And the priority of our judiciary, not the billionaires, not the most powerful and privileged, but the people.
And the special election last night in Georgia to fill former Trump loyalist Marjorie Taylor Greene's congressional seat also bodes well for Democrats. Republican Clayton Fuller won the race over Democrat Sean Harris, but his margin of victory fell well short of previous Republican results in the district. CNBC reports the win may offer little solace for Republicans, however, as Democrats overperformed in the contest. Greene carried the district by 29 percentage points in 2024, more than double Fuller's margin of victory. The result could be a good sign for Democrats who are hoping to retain Senator Jon Ossoff's Senate seat in the Peach State to have any chance at gaining a majority in the Senate. Joining us now is Ben Wickler, former Wisconsin Democratic Party chair. Chairman Wickler, nice to see you again. You helped deal Elon Musk a huge defeat when he got involved in a Wisconsin Supreme Court race last year. What are your initial thoughts following last night's huge win for Wisconsin Democrats?
This was a blowout. And this was a blowout that came because thousands of people who are furious about what Trump is doing to this country, how unaffordable he's making life while he's sparking these terrible wars, while he's smashing our democracy and attacking the rule of law itself. People furious about all of that went to the polls, they knocked on doors, they texted their friends, and they delivered a landslide, the likes of which Wisconsin hasn't seen in a very long time. And a landslide that sets up the possibility of a Democratic sweep in November and real change at a moment when people are desperately calling out for it. It's a great, great moment in Wisconsin.
Well, let me show you two maps that we have. We're going to put them up from the New York Times, and they show the shift in voting in this election compared to Wisconsin's 2025 Supreme Court election, where the Democrat-backed candidate won by 10 points, and the 2024 presidential election results, where Donald Trump won the state by less than 30,000 votes. Can you describe the shift in momentum in Wisconsin right now?
It's extraordinary. And you see it in every corner of the state. I love those two maps because they illustrate that this isn't something where the blue areas are getting bluer, but the red areas are getting redder. It's everywhere. You know, last year, Elon Musk spent $56 million of his almost limitless fortune to try to buy Wisconsin's state Supreme Court seat. And Wisconsin voters said no, they would not be bought. That was a 10-point victory for Susan Crawford. Fast forward 1 year. Elon Musk didn't show up. His tail is between his legs when it comes to Wisconsin Supreme Court elections. But the GOP machine, you know, the billionaires who helped fund the Stop the Steal effort in 2020, they put money into ads. They did this and that. And voters doubled the margin of victory. This year, our extraordinary candidate, Chris Taylor, flipped 19 additional counties on top of all the ones that flipped in 2025, including 18 rural counties. These are places where Republicans are used to winning in a walk, and now they voted for Chris Taylor. I think what this shows is that there are people everywhere who are furious about what is happening in this country, and they're taking it into their own hands to do something about it. That's exactly what we need.
So then, Chairman Wickler, Wisconsin will be key for the Democrats to flip the House of Representatives in the midterms. And good, we got them up there. Out of Wisconsin's 8 House seats, 6 are currently held by Republicans. Which seats do you think are most likely to flip Democrat in the fall?
Well, let's start with the 3rd congressional district. This is a district represented by Derek Van Orden, who has been there with Donald Trump over and over and over, who actually went to Washington, D.C. for the Stop the Steal rally and then got himself elected to Congress in 2022. His district went overwhelmingly for Chris Taylor in the state Supreme Court election just now. My successor, Democratic Party of Wisconsin chair, Devin Remiker, has been crunching the numbers. It looks like the significant majority of congressional districts voted for Chris Taylor in the state Supreme Court race yesterday. So frankly, all of these Republicans are on notice. But the 3rd, I would also say the 1st congressional district, that's Brian Stile. He's a guy who's been holding hearings trying to support these voter suppression bills and stacking up money. Well, that guy is in a purple district. He's acting like he's in an ultra MAGA district, but he's not. And voters have something to say about it, as we saw last night. So this is a moment to be on offense, to expand the map, and to make sure voters see that they actually have the power to do something about the crisis that's unfolding in front of them every day. It can feel kind of powerless to watch the headlines, to watch Trump threatening to destroy civilizations. But voters still have the power, and we still have free and fair elections in states like Wisconsin, which means that we can create change this year like we did last night.
Chair Wickler, I mean, you blew my mind with a little factoid that you said just a moment ago. Basically, you put those 6 Republican members of Congress on notice that their districts. Say that again. What was that again? Their districts in that race.
The majority of the Republican-held districts, the congressional districts in Wisconsin, last night voted for Chris Taylor for state Supreme Court. This is someone who was in a previous career as a Democratic state legislator, who has been a distinguished jurist who takes no guff, no nonsense from right-wing billionaires trying to buy our court system. And she ran an outstanding campaign, and voters in some of the reddest parts of the state, they turned out and they voted for her. Ozaukee County used to be the most Republican county in Wisconsin. It was blue in the state Supreme Court map last night. This is a place that's supposed to be one of the Republican strongholds in the state. This really, I think, demonstrates that something is shifting. There's a tectonic shift in Wisconsin politics, and we don't expect a 20-point landslide in November. But what we're seeing is that people power can overcome the kind of despair that is setting in for so many people in this Trump administration. If you feel like your rights are being taken away, if you're watching abortion bans roll out and voter suppression and ICE agents shooting people in the streets, the cost of gas exploding, you have the power to fight back. We saw that in Wisconsin. We're going to see that across the country this fall.
Ben Wickler, thank you very much for coming, as always, to the last word.
Thanks so much for having me.